Well, FreshBaked, it's our turn to do a little commentary on an issue that you've all probably been made well aware of by now, and that's COPPA, or COPPA. I'm not sure how to pronounce that, but it's the FTC laws protecting children on the internet. A lot of people are asking, what is FreshBaked's response? How will this affect our show? And now, in advance, I'll say I apologize for the crudity of this video, as I didn't write a formal script, so I'm just kind of winging it a little bit because I wanted to speak more, I don't know, sincerely, I guess. Okay, so just a little quick background on COPPA. I don't want to get into too much detail about the actual law or how good it is or bad it is. It's there's been a lot of discussion about that. Most generally agree that this is pretty harmful for good creators like us, people who create family-friendly content. But in any case, quick background. YouTube was found guilty of collecting data on children, kids under 13. They were tracking what kids were watching and collecting that data. That is against the law. And then they were taking that information and providing targeted ads at those children against the law. They were fined a whole bunch of money, but more important than the money, part of their settlement was that they were going to force the creators, they were going to self-regulate. YouTube was going to self-regulate what videos are okay for kids. And the reason for that is that the government does not think very fondly of algorithms, and for good reason. Algorithms are not the be-all and end-all, and you cannot let machine learning determine what is a kid-friendly video or what is a video for kids and what isn't. So YouTube agreed to self-regulate, and by that, they're going to pass that on to the creators. It's the creators who have to self-regulate. It's the creators who have to tell YouTube and tell the FTC, is this video for kids or is it not? That seems very simple, especially for a channel like ours. It's not. We're not made for kids. We're made for families. We're not bad for kids, but it's not directed at kids. But obviously, the fact that I'm making this video to begin with suggests that the issue or the answer to that question is more nuanced than it might be understood. For one thing, it is not up to me, even though YouTube is requiring us to self-regulate, it is not up to us to decide if a video is directed at kids. By that I mean, we can say that it isn't, but then if random guy at the FTC comes across our video and decides that it is, then it is directed for kids, and then we're in trouble for saying that it wasn't when it is. And that's the rub. The rub is channels are being put in jeopardy because we're having to say, we have to come out and say this video is not for kids. But if somebody says it is, the issue for us creators, obviously, you mark a video for kids, you lose revenue because you can't put a targeted ad. A targeted ad is worth more than some random ad by about a third less, or I should say 2/3 less or more. Again, that's another story. But this is an important point. Actually, I should take a second here to say this. Neither YouTube nor the FTC are saying that you are forbidden from making kid-friendly content. They encourage it, obviously. You are still allowed to produce that content. You're allowed to publish that content on YouTube. You can even monetize that content. It's just for less. You get paid less to make this content. And that is the problem that kid-directed or kid-friendly sites like ours are facing, is that it's not so much. Some people are putting the language out there that it's being taken away from us, that we're being prevented from doing this, and that is not the case. It's simply that we're not getting paid as much, to the point where it's possibly not economically feasible to make the video. That's an interesting conversation. You get into the money. That's awkward. It's weird because personally, I am loath to even talk about. I don't like talking about selling merchandise. I don't like talking about ad revenue. I don't like talking about Patreon in my videos anywhere, because I just put the content out there and then you guys tell me if it's good, and you do that with your wallets. But it's not. I'm being forced to do that now because these videos are expensive to make. So that's kind of where we're at. But again, I mentioned that if only to say that we don't have to stop making the videos. We still get to decide whether or not we're going to make the videos, and we can still publish them. It's just at what revenue point. Matter of fact, that brings up another thought, and this is something that I keep referring back to in my own brain when I try to decide how we're going to move forward. When I started FreshBaked, obviously we started at 0. 0 subs, 0 views, 0 revenue. And my thought was just that I felt like making content, and it didn't really matter how many views I got, or I thought it would be fun. Maybe it worked, maybe it wouldn't. And that's how a lot of channels start. And that's how, when you hear people talk about, oh, I don't really care about the money, I just want to make the good content. And that is true. We all were there at one point. But once you start seeing some sort of financial benefit from making this content, and then they try to take it away, claws come out, hair goes up. You're like, okay, this is a problem. But having said that, I remember those feelings, and I remember thinking, I don't want to win necessarily. I don't have to be the best or the top. I just want a little bit. I just want a piece. And so that gives me some peace, to use a different turn of that phrase, in my mind to proceed, to keep going, even if it means I have to make less. Because that's part of the art. That's part of the process is, you get what you get, I guess. I don't know. So I'm just putting that out there as my own philosophy towards my own mindset about how I'm approaching FreshBaked as a going concern. And by that I mean we are still a going concern, and we will continue to be a going concern. Now, how does COPPA affect us right now? At first, my plan was just to mark the whole entire channel okay for kids, or not directed at kids. Then after a little bit of consternation and thought and meditation and listening to other points of view, I realized that there's one question in that, because there's an array of sort of factors that determine whether or not your video is deemed for kids. And there's one main question, and that is, does your video feature characters or celebrities that are directed at kids? I mean, Mickey Mouse, right? Mickey Mouse, just about anybody we meet at Disneyland. Mickey Mouse, Goofy, Anna and Elsa, Maleficent, Pluto. These are all characters that are, well, for one, and does mention specifically animated, but it doesn't have to be animated. They can just be characters or celebrities that are directed at children. Does your video feature them? We got lots of videos like that. We got lots of videos that feature characters. We got lots of videos that feature toys that are directed at kids, unboxings, things of that nature. The shows at the Fantasyland Theater, the Tangled show and the Frozen show and the Beauty and Beast show, that could be argued as being directed at children. So I basically went back and I found every video that featured or that appeared to be focused on meeting a character, and I marked them for kids, or I just outright made them private. So there's going to be a lot of videos. If you go through the anthology, you're going to find a lot of videos that are no longer available. Now, this was easy. That decision is easy because the way our viewing cycle goes is that people watch a video for a couple of weeks and then they stop watching it altogether. Nobody watches it. I mean, except for the few people like Nate Dogg who just keep watching the same videos over and over. Nate, I'm sorry, you're going to have to skip a few the next time you go in that cycle. But yeah, so it's not a big deal that I have to turn off turn off a bunch of videos that are from the archives, but it does sort of affect what our focus is going forward, and that's where it's going to be interesting. So I flagged the channel as not directed at kids, but then I've also marked those videos that could be, by a random guy at the FTC, determined to be made for kids or directed at kids. I've turned those off, either by saying that they are for kids or just making them private outright. Going forward, what do? Well, obviously, we do fewer of those videos, but that's not to say we won't do them. I have no problem making a video and at some point deciding, you know what, this video maybe it was for kids after I do it, and I'll turn it off. I'll go ahead and take the hit on the ad rev. If I feel like it's good show and I want to put that content out there, then I'll just mark it for kids. And this goes toward, there's a lot of videos out there that I've made on a separate topic that were copyright strike or copyright protected, music in the background, things like that. But I really liked the video, and I didn't want to, I didn't want to take it away from you guys. I wanted you to see it, so we just didn't earn any income from that. That's okay. I don't mind doing that from time to time. It's when the whole channel goes away that's the problem. So I want to try to eliminate any risk of putting a red flag up on our channel. So I will be doing that as often as possible. I'm going to keep making, for the most part, the same content we're making. Now, one thing that we might do, a term that I've heard a lot with regard to COPPA is pivot. And that's something that we might do, is pivoting the focus of our channel, possibly away from trip reports, not completely, but partially, in order to create more time to do secrets, history, news, top 10s, special features that are absolutely not directed at kids. And I would feel very confident in making these content. But those videos take quite a bit more time to produce than do trip reports. So that means we probably have to do less trip reports in order to make room for them. I'm okay with that too. As a matter of fact, I very much like making those. I just don't have the time to make them, is the problem. So you might see more of that. You might see fewer trip reports and more of the featured content. And then finally, one other possibility is transitioning some of those trip reports to Patreon. Now, obviously, that's, I don't want to get it twisted. That's a selfish move on our part because, I want to make trip report videos, but I also don't want to earn nothing for them. Not completely. I don't mind earning less. I feel like there should be something there. And I know that there's a group out there that still wants to see those shows. And so maybe we move those to Patreon. Maybe we grow our Patreon community a little bit more. I know, again, it bothers me a lot to have to think in those terms. But the fact is that there is a financial cost to making those videos, the passes and the food and the special events and the merchandise and things like that. It's not a free thing. So there is an expense. Not to say that I don't know. That's my last resort, I guess is all I'm saying. It's a last resort. And if it comes to the point where I can't afford to keep going, then that's where we'll go. And I'll say this, it's closer than you think. It's closer than you might think, considering the size of our channel, over 100,000 subs. You would think that there's more to be made there, and there actually isn't. It's gotten worse over the last year or so, and it's going to get worse. I hate that we have to do this. I hate when, one of the things that I've always suggested to every creator who I've ever talked to or who's asked me for advice about, how they should grow their channel or what they should do, what kind of videos they should make, and how to deal with YouTube and monetization and all that. My advice has always been, make your art. And I would say this to anybody. I say this to Disney, as a matter of fact. Don't tailor your art toward consumer demand or what the people want. Make your own art and then let people react to it. And if they don't, then it's not good art. Okay, it's bad art. I hate that, and I still want to live by that. I still want to do that. I just hate that I have to think about it. I have to think about it in a fiduciary way. It's unfortunate because it does taint the product a little bit. I just want to make a good video. I just want to make good videos that supports my values, supports what I believe in, being kind, being considerate, loving each other, family, fun. That's what I know how to do. I don't know how to make any other kind of video. I don't know how to make a stunt video or a video where I'm really angry about a thing, or just rage, toxic crap that I'm just gonna keep going. I'm gonna keep going until they tell me I can't go anymore, I guess, and then we'll see. and just hope it works out. So far, I haven't had anything, identified by YouTube because they're already doing it. I'm hearing from other channels that YouTube can go in. Okay, so you could say your video's not for kids, and then YouTube can come in on top of you and say, I don't think so. That is for kids. And they can, there's a setting, it'll say made for kids, set by you, made for kids, set by YouTube. It's terrifying, man, that they can just, YouTube has no oversight other than the federal government. There's no transparency. They can act. They're not beholden to any of us. They don't have to tell us anything. They don't have to tell us why. They can just do it. They have unilateral control over our content. But we do it because where else are we going to put videos? Where else can we make a small little living out of making videos? There's no other way. I can't be an entertainer in Hollywood. This is as close as we're going to get. So we don't have a choice, and so that's why we're kind of at their leisure. So I don't want to make videos with that in mind. I realize I'm now rambling and I've gone on and on. I probably should have written a script, but like I said, I wanted to kind of be sincere about this. I'm going to try my very best to keep making the videos that I like to make, and not make videos that will be, strictly for the purpose of making them monetizable. That's not how the channel started. That's not how we got here. And that's not where I want to go. Even if it costs me a certain amount of income. Even if it means that I have to start, promoting stuff on Patreon. And I know that there's, at least a percentage of people out there who are encourage that. They're the ones who got me to go on Patreon to begin with. So I didn't want to. I didn't. I don't like asking for money. I really don't. I don't like asking for anything other than to watch our shows and like it, subscribe. That's like the most comfortable I get when it comes to making requests. But you're going to hear me do this a lot in future videos, including the ones that were put out last week or this week and that are coming up. Unfortunately, I'm going to have to do a little bit more shilling from, personal, for myself, just because, we've got goals and we want to get somewhere, and it's hard. It's hard. I don't know. I can't. I'm looking at my notes trying to see if I missed anything. Okay, so like I said, one thing you might look for, and I've already started doing, is putting the news stuff back on FreshBaked proper. I'm probably going to be doing more news segments on the main channel as opposed to FreshBaked Presents, simply because I need content on the channel. And hopefully, it resonates with you guys on the main channel as opposed to the channel that was dedicated to news. This video right here is an example. And hopefully we'll see more of that. Got to start producing more of those, or putting that content back on the main channel. And then, like I said, look for more features, history, top 10s, how-to type stuff, how to do this, how to do that. There's a market for that anyway, so I'm glad to be able to do that. I feel like I have some intelligence on that matter. I have something to say, something useful to add to the conversation. So that's going to be good content for me, I believe. But that's it, you guys. That's that's all I got to say on the matter. I'll close with this. I'm not angry at FTC. I'm not angry at YouTube. It's unfortunate, and I do think it does penalize the good content. And what's going to happen, the result of this is that there will be a vacuum of kid-friendly content on YouTube, because there are a lot of creators out there who are make their content for the money, and I don't blame them. I don't. Why, it's if you can't make money here, you're gonna have to make some money somewhere else, and that means more content that isn't for kids, which is, I don't believe, was the FTC's goal, but that's gonna be the result. you can sign a petition. There's a petition going around. I'll try to find a link and put it in the description below. I don't know if any traction is gained by, as a community by doing that. Who knows? But it's worth a shot. But otherwise, I'm just going to try to play by the rules and keep making the content that I can, even if it means that it's less profitable. Let us know your comments below. FreshBaked, I'm sure you have some, and I appreciate. Obviously, I'm going to get support. I know that. I know you guys are going to be rooting for us, and you're going to have a lot of positive things to say about us, and I appreciate that in advance. I'm grateful. I'm grateful for the people who support us financially as well. It means a lot, as I've said before. So, anyway, I'd like to hear from you guys. I want to hear maybe what you're hearing from other creators, people that you follow, if they're doing the same thing. Other than that, stay tuned. We got more show coming. We got some really good show coming up, actually. Starting... Well, there's another episode tomorrow of the gang at DCA with Ronnie and Remy and Ian. And then after that, I've got some fun stuff. I did a trip to the park last night. Got some great content last night. I'm looking forward to putting that out. Stay tuned for that. And stay tuned for more FreshBaked. Thanks for watching, guys. We love you. FreshBaked.